Most novices I've instructed often don't know what mistakes they're making. They don't know what they don't know. And interestingly, the most common mistakes I've seen in real life are the same ones sim racers make. I've discussed this with many top instructors, and there are 3 mistakes that keep showing up. I'm going to tell you how to identify and fix these top 3 mistakes, and let's find out if you're making them. The 3rd most common mistake I see novice drivers make is what I call the fast and furious steering. That's when they get to the corner and crank the steering wheel really abruptly. This happens most often at the turn and face of the corner and is usually accompanied by entering the corner too fast. This is a problem because when you enter a corner, you are at a higher speed than when you're in the middle. This means that in the beginning, you have to do less turning than when you are in the middle. If you try to use as much steering in the beginning than in the middle, the tires are not going to have enough grip. And these are the signs you're making this mistake. If you're adding steering but the car won't turn, if you're constantly missing the apex, or if you need to increase steering after the apex. If you're doing any of these things, it's very likely you are steering too aggressively and or entering the corner too fast. So, how do we fix this? First, you need to make sure you're not going too fast. Well, what's too fast, you ask? Without an instructor watching you, it's kind of hard to tell on your own. But if you're experiencing any of the signs that I just mentioned, there's a good chance you're going too fast. You should try slowing down and see if things improve. The simplest way to lower your entry speed is to brake earlier. Being a bit too slow is better than being a bit too fast. Every time you enter a corner too fast, there's no fixing it. You lose the opportunity to practice your line and you lose the opportunity to practice your exit. You've basically wasted the corner and your time. Next, make sure you're not steering too fast. One way that an instructor explained it to me was to let the car know what you're about to do. If you're about to turn right, give the car a bit of a hint by steering right gradually, then adding to the steering. Do not go from 0 degrees to say 100 degrees of steering in an instant. There are limitations to how much driver input a car can respond to. It's just physics. If you're adding steering but the car isn't turning anymore, then you are steering too much and or too quickly. You need to steer slower and or steer less. You can also review your telemetry to see if there are any spikes in steering speed. When you practice this, it's best to do it again and again in the same corner. That way you don't have any external factors like different cornering speeds, changes in topography, or anything that will unknowingly affect your practice. The second most common mistake that I and other instructors see in novice drivers is going too slow. While this is slightly better than going too fast, it is still not ideal. When you're going too slow, there is excess grip, and this excess grip allows you to apply inputs that ordinarily shouldn't be possible, and this creates a lot of bad habits. This mistake is very easy to identify, and here are 3 signs that you might be doing it. You can get on the throttle and accelerate the car before the apex. You can swiftly add a lot of throttle and not go off track or spin the car. When you turn, the car easily responds to more steering input, and the car can turn more than you need it to, sometimes into the grass. If you experience any of these, here is the fix. Simply put, you need to enter the corner faster, so you need to start braking later. To do that, find a visual reference as a brake marker and get on the brakes a fraction of a second later. That should make you enter the corner a few kilometers per hour faster than before. When you're improving on this mistake, you should notice that the car won't be able to turn as well as it did. You will get to a point where adding more steering won't turn the car more, just like in the mistake we previously talked about. However, if you still have excess grip to turn the car more, fight the urge to do so. Instead, try entering the corner even faster the next time around. When you begin to do this correctly, you will also notice that you won't be able to accelerate the car before the apex. The car should decelerate and turn more and more until around the apex, at which point the car starts to accelerate and turn less and less. The key here is to not overdo it, otherwise you will start making the previous mistake of going too fast. The most common mistake, which is also the most fundamental skill, is vision. correct vision is the most important skill for any driver. It is also the skill that drivers are least likely to know they're doing wrong. The reason it's important is that when you have your vision right, a lot of other problems will fix themselves. Often, when I'm working with a novice driver, when I start correcting their vision, I don't have to tell them where to brake, where to turn, where to accelerate, or where the racing line is. They subconsciously do all those things simply by looking at the right place. So, what is correct vision? It's basically looking far ahead enough so that you're driving the track that's about to come, not the track that's right in front of you. In hockey terms, you may have heard that you want to skate to where the puck is going. The rule of thumb is to focus your vision 2 to 4 seconds ahead of the car. When you think about where the car will be in 2 to 4 seconds time, that's where you want your visual focus to be. And keep in mind that 2 seconds at 180 kilometers per hour is a lot further away than 2 seconds at 60 kilometers per hour. So speed is a factor here. If you're wondering whether you're doing it right, here are a few signs if you're not looking far ahead enough. This one's pretty tricky to identify on your own, but if you're constantly making adjustments on the wheel and you're constantly missing marks or going off track, vision may be the culprit here. Instead, it actually might be easier for you to identify if you're doing it right. For example, if you're looking at the apex by the time you're braking, or even before you start braking, you're doing it right. Or if you're looking at the exit before you arrive at the apex, or before you get on the throttle, you're doing it right. This is a very important and long topic which I've dedicated a whole video to. The video also has some exercises to help you improve your vision so you can drive smoother and faster. Make sure you save it and watch it. This rounds out the top 3 mistakes that novice drivers make. If you have any questions or you need any clarifications at all, do not hesitate to ask in the comments below. Also, if you're a novice driver and if this has helped you, or if you have any other problems, I'd really like to hear about it in the comments or directly through my Discord. In the future, I'll be releasing videos on the top 3 mistakes intermediate and advanced drivers make, so stay tuned for those. Make sure you subscribe and click notify so you don't miss it. In the meantime, keep sending it, and I'll see you next time.